Welcome to the Master Dealmaker's Secrets podcast. And now, here's sales growth strategist, John Blake.
Welcome to Master Dealmaker's Secrets. I'm John Blake. This is episode 94, and today I've got what I believe is going to be an incredibly useful episode for you. It is on how to remember people's names. So, I think you'll get heaps of value out of it. I think it's something that we've all encountered at some point in our lives, either professionally or personally. But before that, if you have got leads that you've spoken to but haven't converted yet, I've got something that I know is going to really help you to be able to convert more of those people that you've spoken to into paying clients. It is over at johnblakeaudio.com. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get a audio training, goes for 12 minutes. It's super to the point, no fluff, shows you exactly what it is that you need to do with those people that you've spoken to that haven't converted yet into paying clients, exactly how to convert them into paying clients. If you do this right and you can get it working consistently, it will continue to work for you. You can delegate it to other people. What you're also going to get with the audio training is a PDF that has the exact word-for-word scripts that you can use when you call people, when you email people, when you leave voicemail messages for people, and when you get through to them. Exactly when to call and when to email over a 90-day period. And when you get this right, you can easily double sales with people that you've already spoken to but haven't actually converted yet into a paying client. So you can get that at johnblakeaudio.com. Head over there now and grab it, and I look forward to hearing your success story. Okay, how to remember names. So I think this is going to resonate. I am certainly guilty of this. That situation where you meet somebody and, you know, especially if you're a visual person, or at least that's my excuse, where you're taking in so much visual information. You know, you've walked into someone's office, you're looking at all this, taking in all this visual information. You meet somebody, which I think, it's a higher, there's a higher sort of stress level, when you're actually meeting somebody. So you're not necessarily always relaxed. Probably your pulse rate's elevated a bit, your stress levels are elevated a bit, and sometimes you miss their name. And I've done it heaps of times, and then we get into this cycle where, we take in all this information visually and we forget people's names, and it's not cool, because when you can't remember someone's name, often they know it, and it's embarrassing, and it gets too far down the track and you feel like a dick saying, "Oh, I've forgotten your name." So how can we remember more names to start off with? Okay, so I'm going to give you 4 different ways that you can do this. The first one is going to sound kind of stupid, maybe, but it's actually accurate, right? So the first way to start to remember people's names more often is to stop telling yourself that you're bad with names. Stop telling yourself and other people, "Oh, I'm terrible with names, but I'm really good with faces," right? Stop doing that. Why? Because it's an affirmation. You're actually affirming to yourself that you are bad with names, which makes it really hard to get better at it. Okay, so that's number 1. Stop telling yourself that you're bad with names. You could say, "I used to be bad with names, and I'm getting better," or you could say, "I'm getting better with names. I used to be terrible at this, or I used to be not so good at this, but I am getting better. I'm improving." Start saying that. The second part is to, right off the bat, get a clear impression of the person's name and face. So what that means is get them to spell it. It's hard if I've got a name like mine, like John. Or you could say, is that H, John, or is it Jon? You could say, or is that short for Jonathan? So you could potentially, but use that initial point to say, what's the spelling? Or how do you spell that? And just repeat it straight away to reinforce it in your own head. So that's the second thing that you can do. The third thing is to repeat the name at short intervals. So start to include that person's name in sentences. So this is something that you actually really do need to do consciously, because the more you say it, the more you will remember it, the more you will strengthen that neural pathway in your own brain to actually remember that person's name. And then the fourth way, and this is actually one of my favorites, and it actually usually works pretty well, is I like to pick a word that their name rhymes with, right? So a really sort of simple example of this is if the person's name is Rob, you could say, in your head, you probably wouldn't say it to them, in your head you could say, Robbo the Yobbo, just like you could. It's not that good an example, but Lucy, so you could say, Lucy the Goosey, or something like that, just to, and I know it sounds silly, but it will help you remember their name. Obviously, you wouldn't say it to their face, but if in your own brain, it helps you remember that person's name because you're remembering by association, and that's how we tend to remember things in our own brain, is we remember them via association. Then that is going to be a whole stack better than getting into your next conversation or seeing that person again for the second time and actually forgetting. So I hope that's useful. I know that it's something that I wish that I had been exposed to a lot earlier in my professional career than what it was at where I was at the point where I actually remembered that, or where I learnt that. So I hope it helps you. So again, thank you very much for listening, and I will talk to you on the next podcast. Cheers.
You've been listening to Master Dealmaker's Secrets with John Blake. Subscribe to get more in-depth strategies to maximize your sales process with new episodes every week. And double your inquiry to sale conversion with the lead flow you already have. Go to johnblakeaudio.com for his exclusive free no-fluff audio training and companion PDF guide.